Hello, my name is Marc Anthony, and I'm here to give a testimonial of my experience down at Bwiti Life in Cancun, Mexico. But first, I want to give you guys some raw data and some raw facts of my life and my experiences and how I actually got to where I am today. And I'm going to make this relatively quick because I know nobody wants to sit here for 10 or 15 minutes and watch a video. So I'm going to give you some very detailed truths of my experiences getting me to this point, how I got to the Bwiti, how I got to doing Iboga, and why I've continued on this path for a deeper knowing of myself, of reality, of life, and and how to be happy. So to get to this point, it never would have happened had I not gone through the experiences that I had. And mainly from a young age right up through my early 40s, I had a lot of addictions. The main one being nicotine addiction. And I know people overlook this addiction, but just like people who are addicted to caffeine, nicotine is an addiction that millions and millions of people have in this world. And to diminish it for the addictions of more serious addictions, I guess you may say, like heroin and cocaine and alcoholism that seem to get a lot higher importance on the addiction scale. I can tell you from my direct experience, I struggled immensely and it was destroying my life, and it would have killed me quicker than later, to the point where because of that addiction to nicotine, I was abusing and attaching to everything from sex to food to caffeine, to anything I could basically get my hands on to make myself feel better, to put a Band-Aid on what I just wasn't ready to look at yet, what I wasn't ready to discover in myself and see in myself. So what I decided to do by the time I was 41 is I decided to go down and research looking into alternative ways to heal myself. So I was looking into Eastern medicine, and I went to everything from acupuncture to herbal medicine to food and nutrition. I started doing yoga, which I still do to this day, is instrumental in my life. But I went down and I started with ayahuasca down in the Amazon. It took me quite some time, about a year of research to actually get down there. And I was looking for a magic bullet with that. I thought it was going to happen overnight and my life would just be shifted. And I really just wasn't ready at the time to really get my hands dirty and do the work. And if I can say one thing right out of the gate, is that if you're not ready to do your work and you're not ready to go inside and get your hands dirty and really see the root of the truth behind why your life is the way it is and why you're hurting yourself potentially or hurting other people, then you need to stop in your tracks and you need to get real with yourself and start to figure out whether or not you actually want to get to that point. Because otherwise, if you're not going to go inside and do the work like I wasn't ready to do when I went to do ayahuasca, then you're going to fail. You're not going to get where you need to be. There's no other way around it. You have to face the truth of things, and you have to do your own work, or you're not going to heal. You're not going to find out why it is that you've been treating yourself the way you have, why it is that you're unhappy, why it is that you have depression and anxiety and PTSD and a lot of the other things that you have. And that was my result when I went to work with one of these incredible master plants down in the Amazon. I learned how to love. It taught me how to connect. It showed me that there's a mass consciousness with the plants, with the animals of the world, with humanity, and it showed me what that consciousness was, and it was all based on this love. That was the first time I ever actually discovered what love was about. And I kind of caught the fever and said, okay, I'm ready to start really seeing. It didn't give me what I came down for, but it gave me, and it knew what I needed inside. And a year later, I came across Iboga because I was continuing to still do some destructive things and still grasping and attaching to stuff. I still hadn't really touched base inside with who I was. It was a work in progress. It was something that I had to go day by day and learn. And then I had really gotten to a point with my nicotine addiction that I was over 300 pounds. I was drinking a lot of diet sodas and caffeine and eating junk food, and I wasn't exercising. And I decided that it was time that I really needed to get serious and take it to another level. And that's when I discovered Iboga and the Bwiti tradition. But the first thing I did was I had gone to an Ibogaine clinic, and an Ibogaine is basically one of the 12 alkaloids of the Iboga plant that's extracted out, and it's used throughout the world for addiction interruption and helping people with substance abuse, basically rewiring the mind, neuroplasticity in a scientific term. It basically cleanses everything, and it allows you to start from scratch and replace old thoughts with new thoughts and start to rewire the mind to think differently and recondition the way you live your life and the way you move about your life. So I went down to Mexico and I did Ibogaine. And basically within 24 hours, I had a couple days of recouping and I never touched nicotine again. And I realized at that point, there's something to this Iboga plant or this Ibogaine or this Bwiti that I hadn't really fully discovered yet. So I decided about a year later, I had never touched nicotine again. My life started to change. I was doing yoga. I was eating a little healthier, and it was amazing how once I saw the truth behind this self-destructive ugliness, that the way I was treating myself, I just automatically started doing nicer things for myself. I started being more kind to myself. And then that's when everything started to really go in more of a truthful direction, making better choices for my life, taking responsibility for the things that were going on. It wasn't anybody else's fault that I wasn't happy and I wasn't healthy and I couldn't have a relationship with other people. I didn't have one with myself. So in 2012, about 3 years after ayahuasca, about a year after Ibogaine, I found a wonderful 10th generation shaman who is now one of my closest friends, Mugenda Mikola out of Gabon. And Mugenda brought the Bwiti and Iboga to the West, and he basically introduced it to everybody. And I was very, very fortunate to be there in the beginning when he came in, and I was able to do my pre-initiation ceremony into the Bwiti tradition down in Costa Rica. I basically had come at that point, and I was there beyond the substance abuse addiction, which had disappeared. I was there for something more real. I was there to connect with my essence, the truth of what I really am and who I really am, my soul, whatever you want to call it. I was there to learn about self-love and really how to be kind and compassionate to myself and never let anybody talk badly to me, treat me poorly, walk on me. I needed to do that for myself. I needed to start to protect my life and value this gift of life that I've been given. So that's what I decided to start doing. And through the pre-initiation ceremony, I had a lot of lessons and hard lessons to learn from the Iboga medicine, from Mugenda and the wisdom that he shares as a shaman from his tradition. And I came home, and again, it shaved off more of that bullshit inside of me, that fear inside of me, and just released a lot of it. It was up to me to accept the truths that I've been shown and what I've been given. And if I chose not to do that, I was going to suffer some more. I was going to fall back into my bullshit. I was going to fall back into the old patterns that I had, and I chose not to do that. I came home and I made some mistakes, but I've learned through this that it's okay. And I'm my own judge and jury, and it was up to me to decide whether I was going to punish myself or I was going to say, something, you screwed up, let it go. Today is a new day. The past is gone. The future's not here. So let's live in the moment. Let's live our life today and be present here. And that's where happiness lies. And I started to do more and more of that every day and condition that new way of thinking, that new way of loving from the inside out and treating myself. And every year from 2012 right up until 2017, for 5 years, I was going down to Costa Rica and conditioning this new thought process, this new connection that I had with my soul and in the truth. And I just kept going back and doing more ceremonies to gain a deeper knowing of what it is that I really am, to really dive deeper and get underneath, because there's such a deep knowing of the truth and of love, and it just keeps going. It's one of the most beautiful things about this medicine that it offers you, is this this really beautiful opportunity that you have to discover more and more about what's true. What's true for you, what's absolutely true, more of a vision of reality, of relationship, of how to share love, of how to love yourself and really value this gift of life, to have fun. It just keeps getting better and better. So can you do it one time and completely come out the other end? Absolutely. I've seen people do it. Iboga All-Stars, Iboga superheroes that come in, and it's really up to you to surrender. That's the only thing that's required of anybody who's going to do this medicine. If you feel called to do it, all you need to do is just surrender to the medicine and let go, and know that the medicine's going to give you exactly what you need while you're there, wherever you happen to go. And in this case, we're talking about Bwiti Life down in Cancun, Mexico. These guys were fantastic with the support that they gave you throughout the week, with reviewing your questions that you had before going into ceremony, that you wanted to ask, the things that you wanted to get answers on from the spirit world, from yourself, from your ancestors. And if you're looking for somebody who is a dedicated, experienced provider that has been trained right out of Africa, from Mugenda Mikala, from the Bwiti tradition, Michael Cassidy, nicknamed Eagle, good friend of mine now. Michael and his staff, Erica, Jonathan, Jima, which is Michael's sister, and Sherry. These guys were phenomenal from day one right up until day 7 with being there for you for everything that you needed, after ceremonies, pre-ceremony, any support that you needed, you had it. The food was fantastic. There was a pool there to get into. We had great excursions to the cenotes down in the Mayan Riviera. Great days. Went to a beautiful beach on our beach day. It really couldn't have been a more perfect week. A nice balance of the Bwiti tradition and the work that you need to do with this medicine, along with some comfort and some amenities that allowed everybody to really settle in and be comfortable with where they were and what they were about to do, because this is some of the hardest work that you are going to do. I am not going to lie to anybody about what this is and what this does. You got to be ready to go in to do this. So if you feel called and you're really at a point in your life where you want to shift, and you want to shift and you really want to know who you are, and heal what needs healing, and move your life forward so you can really understand happiness and relationship with yourself and with others, then this is the tool to go with. It is by far, of all the things that I've done, the most incredible gift that has been put on this planet, amongst other plants. But I've done a lot of them, and I'm here to tell you that Iboga is king. It just over delivers every time. I underestimate the gifts and the wisdom that it teaches me every time I go down. I think I know what's going to happen, and I've done this over 20 times over 10 years. I've done my full initiation and my rites of passage over in Gabon with the Bwiti. Every single time it over delivers and stuns me with what it has to offer and what it has to show me. So if I can tell anybody anything and share from my experiences, I tell you just to go do this. Don't question it. It's worth every penny. It's a priceless experience if you're willing to go in and really see what needs to be done and really just surrender to this medicine. It will give you exactly what you need. And Bwiti Life couldn't have been one of the better places to go to. I've been to a lot of places in the world for working with the medicine, and they're all wonderful in their own right. And Bwiti Life is no different. They're fantastic, and I recommend them highly to anybody who's interested in changing their life with this tradition and this medicine. Thank you.